I remember waking up every morning with a sinking feeling deep in my stomach. The alarm would ring, and instead of feeling refreshed or hopeful, I'd jolt out of bed already consumed by stress, a knot tightening around my chest as I thought about the day ahead. My first thoughts weren't about gratitude or positivity. They were about deadlines looming, bills piling up, and the endless grind I wasn't quite sure I was going to survive. Over time, those moments, those first few minutes after waking, became my undoing. I'd stumble through my morning, rushing against the clock, carrying the weight of worries that seemed to multiply the moment I opened my eyes. It was a cycle. I'd start my day already behind, already feeling I was fighting an uphill battle. No matter how many hours I slept or how many cups of coffee I chugged, that feeling of scarcity, of lack, clung to me like a shadow. I kept telling myself I wasn't enough, that I'd never catch a break, that prosperity was just out of reach. I'd see others seemingly thriving, friends, colleagues, even strangers, and wonder what they knew that I didn't. How did they manage to live with such ease? Was it luck, talent, or something more secret, more powerful? The truth was, I felt trapped in a cycle I couldn't break, and I didn't quite know how to change it. One day, I started paying attention to those tiny, overlooked moments, the very first minutes I spent after waking up. I realized they held a secret. If I could shift how I entered the day, maybe I could shift everything that followed. What if the way I started my mornings determined the entire rhythm of my day? I wondered if I could somehow reset that vibration, change my mindset, reprogram my thoughts, and genuinely set the tone for abundance. But how? I mean, I'd heard about the law of attraction, about manifesting desires, but it all sounded so abstract, something you do after work, not the moment your eyes opened. It was easy to dismiss it as otherworldly or wishful thinking. Yet, deep down, I knew there had to be something more. I'd read stories of people who turned their lives around with just a small shift, an attitude, a daily practice. It wasn't magic, I told myself, but maybe it was about giving my mind the right input first thing in the morning, a kind of mental reboot that would pave the way for real change. I started experimenting, not with grand gestures, but small, intentional moments of gratitude. I'd take a few deep breaths, think about what I was grateful for, and try to feel genuinely thankful for what I already had, even if it was just waking up alive, a bed to lie in, or the simple fact that I was breathing. Surprisingly, I noticed something different happening. The tension in my chest loosened a little. My thoughts shifted from frantic to composed. I began to feel a flicker of hope, a spark that maybe I could envision a better future, one where money, opportunity, and stability weren't just distant dreams, but tangible realities I could attract. But I was still unsure if this was just coincidence or a real mechanism behind creating change. Still, I persisted. And then, slowly, gradually, I started to see signs that things were shifting. Invitations, ideas, little unexpected financial surprises. I began to find money in places I hadn't anticipated, and opportunities showed up in my inbox just when I least expected them. It was like the universe was responding, proving to me that what I focused on, what I felt most intensely, really did influence my reality. I could feel that shift taking place not only in my wallet, but in my overall sense of peace and confidence. The fear and stress that had haunted me every morning started to lose their grip. That's when I realized, everything changes the moment you decide to change your approach. It's not about working harder or wishing harder. It's about how you start your day, your mindset, your energy, your state of being. You can't expect to unlock abundance when your first thoughts are scarcity and doubt. That's the core of what I want to share with you today, because I've seen firsthand how a simple shift in your morning routine can flip the script entirely. And if you're feeling tired of the struggle, if you're drowning in worries that seem to never end, I promise you, there's another way. A way that starts right now, the moment you decide that your mornings, your first few minutes, are your most powerful tools for creating a life of prosperity and peace. When I started paying closer attention to how I initiated my days, I realized there's a hidden power in small, intentional shifts. It's not about grand gestures or long rituals. It's about recognizing that the quality of your start ripples outward, influencing your entire experience. Imagine your mind as a garden, kindly tending it with seeds of positivity and nurturing it with mindful attention can yield a harvest of opportunities you never thought possible. That initial mental environment is like setting the thermostat for your entire day. Once warmed or cooled, everything that unfolds follows suit. Many overlook how critical this phase truly is because society often conditions us to view mornings as chaotic or trivial. We can fall into the trap of rushing through routines without conscious awareness, allowing external chaos to dictate our internal climate. But what if I told you that by consciously controlling what you focus on at this pivotal time, you could unlock a resourcefulness and resilience that feels almost supernatural? It's akin to tuning an instrument before playing. Without that precise adjustment, the melody may be off, but once in harmony, any song you produce resonates deeply. Building on this, consider how your beliefs about money act like a pair of glasses in shaping your perception. If those glasses are tinted with doubt and scarcity, it's almost impossible to see abundance clearly. Conversely, when you adjust your focus, visualizing potential instead of limitations, you begin experiencing opportunities more vividly. Think of your thoughts as a lens. Upgrading it from foggy to crystal clear transforms your entire outlook. When you catch yourself dwelling on what's missing or what's not going right, instead of flipping into despair, you could pivot toward questions that shift your energy. What's opening up for me today? Or what inspired action can I take right now? That perspective change isn't trivial, it's transformational. Now, envision how this mental redirect manifests practically throughout your day. Perhaps you've heard about the concept of emotional momentum, one positive thought leading to another, creating a rising wave of high vibration. When you consciously send a signal of appreciation for what you have, gratitude doesn't just become a tick on a list, but a magnet that amplifies your energetic frequency. This is not about superficial positivity, but about genuine appreciation for the richness already present. Sometimes, I employ a simple mental trick. I think about a recent moment when I felt truly aligned or grateful, and I intentionally relive that feeling. In doing so, I reattach my emotional state to a frequency of abundance that invites more of it. Another layer to consider involves the subtle art of expectation. What do you believe will occur during your day? If your anticipation is filled with worry or doubt, you unknowingly set a course for struggles or setbacks. On the other hand, if you hold a quiet confidence, trusting that good things are coming, your subconscious works throughout the day to align circumstances with that belief. It's like giving your subconscious a secret map of success, guiding your choices and perceptions without your even realizing it. When I shift my expectation from, I hope something good happens, to, I know good things are already unfolding, I tap into a different level of co-creation that accelerates momentum. There's also the subtle yet pervasive influence of silent affirmations. These aren't the loud declarations that sound rehearsed, but quiet, steady reminders that reinforce your new belief system. For example, I might softly affirm inwardly, abundance flows through me now, or every action I take draws prosperity closer. These phrases act like anchors, stabilizing high vibration even amidst uncertainty. Think of them as mental touch points that keep you aligned when the external world feels unpredictable. The beauty of these practices is their flexibility. They can be woven into the fabric of your routine without any extra time, simply by bringing awareness to your inner dialogue. Finally, I've come to recognize that recognizing your own power to influence the beginning of your day shifts your entire worldview. It's not about battling circumstances, but about understanding your role as a co-creator of your reality. It's a skill to learn, like tuning an instrument or mastering a new language. Some days are easier than others, but with consistent effort, you gain clarity and confidence. When you accept that your thoughts and feelings act as the blueprint for what's to come, you embrace a daily opportunity to design your experience intentionally. And that's where real magic begins, when you realize that no matter the external chaos, you possess an inner control lever that, once adjusted, can turn everything around. You might think that the way we set our mental tone early in the morning is solely a personal ritual, a quiet act of intention. But in reality, it functions as a strategic move in the grand game of manifestation. Think of it as planting a seed in fertile soil. The clearer and more nourished the sapling, the more likely it is to grow tall and strong. If your first thoughts are tinged with doubt or fear, it's like watering that seed with stagnant water, unproductive and draining. Conversely, a proactive mental stance acts as water, sunlight, and nutrients all combined, fueling your growth in abundance. Building on this, consider how the energy you emit ripples outward. Every feeling, even the smallest, contributes to a vibrational buffet the universe consumes and responds to. If the initial few minutes are clouded with frustration, that familiar feeling that nothing is ever enough, the entire vibration of that day begins to embody lack. But what if I told you that a shift in these opening moments could recalibrate your entire vibrational frequency? That switching gears from scarcity to appreciation ignites an entirely different response from the universe? It's as if flipping a switch inside you sets off a cascade of new opportunities already waiting in the wings. Another overlooked facet is the subconscious programming that operates beneath our conscious awareness. These mental patterns, often inherited or accumulated over years, shape what we expect to occur. If, early on, there's a default setting of worry or disappointment, every subsequent interaction tends to reinforce that belief. Over time, this creates a cycle that feels impossible to break. However, consciously introducing fresh narratives, statements that reaffirm your worth and potential, can serve as antidotes to those ingrained stories. Repeating a mantra like, "I am worthy of prosperity," acts as a reset button, gradually rewriting the deeper scripts embedded within. This process might seem subtle, but its impact on the overall vibration can be transformative. Furthermore, the power of visualization plays an essential role that often gets overlooked. Rather than simply thinking about having abundance, I encourage you to craft detailed mental movies of your ideal life. Imagine how it feels to receive that unexpected check, to see your bank account flourish, or to enjoy the freedom of financial independence. Engage as many senses as possible. Hear the sounds, feel the textures, picture yourself experiencing joy. When these sensations are vivid, they generate potent emotional energy. The more real they seem to your inner experience, the more magnetic your desires become. Remember, dreams infused with strong feelings can magnetize circumstances more efficiently than vague hopes or distant wishes. Another critical element is cultivating a sense of curiosity and openness rather than attachment or desperation. If, from the start, there's a vibe of "I need this now," resistance naturally arises. Energy shifts when you approach manifestation with playful anticipation instead of anxious demanding. Imagine you're browsing a store. You're open to what catches your eye, but not desperate to buy the first thing you see. This relaxed stance clears the mental clutter and allows opportunities to reveal themselves more effortlessly. When you treat manifesting as an adventure, an exciting process rather than a nerve-wracking task, you align yourself with the flow of abundance in ways that hundreds of affirmations cannot replicate. Now, consider how this perspective influences your relationship with time itself. Patience becomes an ally rather than an enemy. If your initial response to delayed results is frustration, that only dilutes your vibration further. But learning to experience each step as part of a larger design fosters trust. Recognize that the universe operates on perfect timing, and each moment offers a lesson in faith. Every sign, be it a subtle synchronicity, an unexpected encounter, or a small financial blessing, guides your faith toward the realization that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. When you shift your focus from when to how your life is already transforming, a new sense of peace takes hold, making space for miracles to appear naturally. Finally, embracing the idea that abundance flows through many channels shifts your perception from scarcity to limitless possibilities. The world is a vast, interconnected web of opportunities ready to manifest at any given moment. An encounter, an inspired idea, a new connection, all could serve as catalysts for prosperity. Opening yourself to this multi-layered reality removes the pressure of a single, linear path. Instead, you start seeing abundance as a flowing river, constantly moving, shifting, expanding, ready to nourish you in ways you haven't yet imagined. Trusting this flow becomes the key, and each day's first thoughts become the compass guiding you into a broader, more abundant existence. Imagine for a moment how often the mind acts like a GPS recalculating routes based on recent inputs. If the initial setting is one of imbalance, every subsequent turn leads toward dead ends, focusing on lack, obstacles, or past failures. But shift that map to one of possibility, even if only slightly, and suddenly each new step feels more aligned. These subtle reinterpretations carve pathways through mental clutter, opening avenues that were dismissed before. The thoughtful act of consciously selecting a new coordinate radiates outward, subtly redirecting energy to fertile ground. Consider how a single, small change in attitude can turn mundane routines into opportunities for expansion. Resetting your mental GPS is less about forcing a new direction and more about gently overriding the default bias toward scarcity ingrained by daily conditioning. When we deliberately choose to intentionally focus on qualities like resilience or creative solutions, we activate dormant neural pathways that reinforce positive patterns. This isn't about ignoring obstacles. It's about recalibrating your focus so that even challenges are perceived through a lens of growth. Expanding further, I've noticed that the impact of this mental shift often extends into external circumstances through a process akin to tuned instruments matching pitches. As your internal vibration becomes more harmonious, circumstances begin to reflect that resonance. It's as if you're tuning into a specific energetic frequency, perhaps a frequency of abundance, so that everything that vibrates at that same level naturally gravitates toward you. This is not accidental. It's the natural outcome of aligning internal states with desired outcomes. When predisposed to optimism and openness, prompts that would have gone unnoticed now stand out as clear opportunities. Small conversations turn into partnerships, and career openings suddenly appear that once felt hidden. Now, consider how this applies in the face of adversity. If difficulty hits unexpectedly, you might be tempted to sink into despair or frustration. Instead, try viewing the setback as a new lens, an invitation to fine-tune your approach or to discover skills previously left dormant. Think of it as recalibrating the dials on a radio. What once sounded like noise can suddenly become clear music simply by adjusting the frequency marginally. The key is in recognizing that internal shifts don't have to be monumental to be impactful. They can be as subtle as a slight mental tilt that guides your perspective in a different direction. Sometimes, a single thought, like the belief that better days are ahead, can unlock pathways that once seemed blocked by doubt. Furthermore, when you begin to pay attention to these energetic alignments, it becomes obvious that external manifestations are often just signs of an internal harmony. Notice how, as you cultivate gratitude intentionally, moments of serendipity seem to multiply. For example, I remember a time when I felt deeply anchored in appreciation, savoring every blessing, no matter how small. Out of nowhere, a long-standing bill was forgiven, or I found extra funds that unexpectedly appeared. Those were not coincidences. They were signals that my vibrational state was ascending into a frequency that attracts abundance effortlessly. This realization is empowering because it underscores that growth on the inner plane naturally echoes outward. No magic needed, just conscious alignment. Thinking along these lines, it's easy to see how intentionally shifting focus can turn a mindset of hurried desperation into one of patience and trust. It's like planting a seed in fertile soil and knowing that, with care and nurturing, it will grow. Confidence arises from recognizing any progress as proof that the energy invested is bearing fruit. Each small success acts as evidence that the process truly works. It's a matter of honoring the process, maintaining receptivity, and remaining open to new signals that something better is unfolding. This process doesn't demand grand gestures, but demands consistency, small, deliberate adjustments that make a noticeable difference over time. Ultimately, cultivating awareness of this subtle but profound influence allows us to see ourselves as active creators rather than passive recipients of circumstance. When internal clarity becomes a priority, specific opportunities become more visible, and opportunities for inspired action reveal themselves without force or pressure. Every step is an invitation to deepen trust that what aligns on the inside will naturally manifest on the outside. Recognizing that personal transformation is a continuous journey, I've learned that the true power lies in small, mindful choices that honor the innate capacity for abundance we all possess. Each new perspective becomes a tool for sculpting a life defined by flow, purpose, and limitless potential. Imagine a scenario where you approach each day as if it's a blank canvas, yet unconsciously, you're already filled with brushing strokes of doubt and limitation. This mental palette influences the hues of your daily interactions and decisions. If you start within a colorless space, dragged down by old stories of struggle, you project that same monochrome onto the outside world, shaping experiences rooted in scarcity. But what happens if you intentionally choose to paint with vibrant shades of expectation and possibility? The act of deliberately selecting your emotional colors during those initial waking moments can transform the entire composition of your day. This shift isn't solely about positive thinking as an isolated exercise. It's an act of crafting energetic boundaries that shield you from the noise of distraction and negativity. Think of your mental space like a fortress where only messages of inspiration and abundance are allowed to pass through the gates open for your highest good. As you strengthen these internal barriers, consciously filtering what thoughts you entertain, you begin reinforcing a protective layer that keeps vibrational clutter at bay. In doing this, I've learned to become hyper-aware of the quality of my internal dialogue. If I catch myself slipping into familiar patterns of worry or complaining, I pause, remodel those beliefs, and replace them with empowering truths. Over time, this fortress becomes impenetrable to doubts that previously seemed overwhelming. Another revelation emerged when I realized how vital it is to actively flag and celebrate the subtle wins throughout my day. It feels easy to dismiss achievements as insignificant or to overlook signs of progress. Yet, acknowledging even the smallest victory, like noticing a favorable synchronicity or receiving a kind message, serves as an anchor, pulling me closer to a heightened sense of abundance. These moments act like tiny lighthouses in a foggy night, guiding you toward a more focused perspective. By deliberately highlighting what's working, I recondition my mind to tune into signals of prosperity, not scarcity. Each acknowledgement becomes a ripple that expands outward, awakening a deeper sense of trust and openness. Diving deeper, it's crucial to understand how shifting feelings from frustration to curiosity can act as a catalyst for unexpected opportunities. When doubts arise, and I feel a surge of impatience, instead of matching that energy with desperation, I train myself to ask questions that spark interest and exploration. What might be hidden behind this delay? What lesson can I learn from this challenge? These inquiries soften resistance and allow me to see obstacles as stages in a bigger dance rather than dead ends. Suddenly, what once looked like a barrier reveals itself as an invitation for creative problem-solving or a redirection toward better opportunities. This subtle mental reframing transforms perceived setbacks into stepping stones, creating momentum that propels growth. Furthermore, embracing the concept of flow becomes essential. When I remember that progress isn't always linear, I relax into a playful acceptance of the process. Sometimes, I get caught in the trap of trying to force things to happen faster, which only causes resistance. Instead, I've discovered that surrendering control, deeply trusting that the right opportunities will align at the perfect time, opens space for organic miracles. Artistic painters don't rush the paint. They wait for layers to dry, building upon each previous stroke. When I adopt this patience, I tap into a state of calm assertion, knowing that every small gesture of faith is planting seeds for future abundance. Another significant insight involves recognizing how external circumstances are often reflections of internal shifts, not random occurrences. When I focus intensively on feeling expansive and gratitude-filled, I notice that seemingly unrelated events suddenly seem aligned and synchronistic. It's as if my vibration acts like a magnet, attracting connections, ideas, and resources that support my growth. These are signs that I am in tune with what I desire. It confirms that pairing my emotional state with clarity and confidence generates a powerful field of attraction. The more I nurture this energetic alignment, the more that life begins to mirror my elevated feelings of worthiness and readiness for abundance. Finally, I've come to understand that the state of expectancy I cultivate in the morning is a vital ingredient for unfolding success. It's easy to fall into patterns of doubt after facing disappointments, but consciously choosing trust and optimism creates a fertile environment where abundance can sprout in surprisingly unexpected forms. When I step into the day grounded in the belief that opportunities are already in motion on my behalf, I notice my intuition sharpening. Every prompt or nudge feels more like a signature of guidance rather than coincidence. This proactive stance turns small daily affirmations into catalysts for expansive growth. Each new action springs from a foundation rooted in confidence, allowing momentum to build naturally without excessive effort, making the journey not only easier, but genuinely enjoyable. Imagine stepping back from the hustle and stress to observe how your internal world creates the conditions you experience externally. It's easy to get caught in a cycle of reacting to circumstances instead of directing the energy behind those reactions. I've come to see that consciously choosing what to focus on throughout the day acts like a master conductor directing a symphony. Each note, each vibration matters. Shifts in attention, even those seemingly small, have the potential to ripple outward, influencing the quality of interactions, opportunities, and overall well-being. For example, if I find myself dwelling on what isn't going right, I'm unintentionally writing a script that invites more challenges. But if I instead tap into feelings of confidence and trust, I send a signal to the universe to bring me situations aligned with flow and prosperity. What's often overlooked is the energy we carry into every new moment. It's more than just a fleeting thought or fleeting feeling. It's an imprint, an energetic signature that sets the tone. Think of it like a lighthouse beam, sending out a specific rhythm and wavelength. If this beam is obscured by fog of doubt or disappointment, ships navigating nearby won't detect it. Yet, if I can clarify that light, sharpen its intention, it dramatically influences surroundings, attracting the right people and circumstances to my orbit. It's about becoming aware of what I amplify in my consciousness because I realize that amplification determines what materializes from the unseen into the seen. Building further, I found that actively engaging in a process of emotional recalibration enhances this effect. It's akin to tuning a musical instrument before a performance. Anyone can pluck strings randomly, hoping for harmony, but deliberate adjustments, listening closely, compensating for discord, bring about a resonant tone. For me, this might mean pausing to acknowledge lingering doubts, then intentionally shifting focus to appreciation for unexpected blessings or past successes. These small moments of refocusing act as a recalibration port, an internal reset that shifts vibrations into a higher, more favorable octave. When I do this repeatedly, a pattern emerges. Situations that once seemed resistant now flow more effortlessly, because I've realigned my inner frequency. Attention, however, isn't just about staying positive, but cultivating a mindset of empowerment. When facing setbacks, I've learned to see them not as failures, but as signals pointing to where I need to redirect energy. Instead of throwing up my hands or feeling defeated, I ask myself what lesson or opportunity is hidden in plain sight. These questions serve as mental compasses, guiding me deeper into insight rather than outward into frustration. It's like navigating through a dense fog with a reliable compass. Each adjustment brings clearer visibility. Small internal shifts, such as recognizing a lesson in discomfort, seed new pathways of possibility, making it easier to embrace obstacles as part of growth rather than insurmountable barriers. Another element I've discovered is the importance of gratitude as an ongoing practice. Rather than simply listing blessings, I channel a sense of gratitude that feels expansive and genuine. This act acts as a portal. It opens my heart and aligns all my energetic layers. Noticing the simple details, the warmth of sunlight on my skin, the aroma of fresh coffee, the kindness of a stranger, these become powerful reminders that abundance exists in countless forms. When I vibrate at this frequency, I start noticing more examples of prosperity around me. Unanticipated income, meaningful opportunities, positive interactions. This isn't coincidence, but a natural response to the energetic state I cultivate consciously. It's a cycle that feeds itself. As my gratitude expands, the universe reflects more reasons to feel abundant. As I become more aware of this ongoing process, I realize it's essential to ground intentions in certainty rather than hope alone. Allocating space in my mindset for unwavering belief anchors my efforts. Imagine planting a seed and knowing with absolute conviction that it will sprout. It magnifies the likelihood of growth. When doubt tries to creep in, I use mental tools to reinforce that what I desire is already in motion. Visualizations deepen into feelings of already having achieved what I set out to create. This isn't wishful thinking, but an energetic certainty that pushes aside resistance. Through consistent practice, I foster a sense that the universe is always responsive, endlessly working behind the scenes to support my evolution. That shift from hesitation to unwavering trust transforms how effortlessly abundance flows into my experience, turning efforts into effortless magnetism. Ultimately, this awareness of the internal landscape's power becomes a boundaryless playground. It's no longer about waiting for external signs, but actively shaping the conditions in which those signs appear. I've learned to see every small action, every shift in thought, as a vital part of a larger choreography, a dance between intention and manifestation. The true mastery lies in recognizing that my internal state is the creative force, a seed that, when properly nurtured, blossoms into tangible riches. Embracing this perspective invites a continual cycle of growth, where vibrational awareness becomes second nature, every moment, an opportunity to refine and elevate my experience into one of constant abundance. Reflecting on this journey so far, I realize that all the concepts I've explored, those subtle shifts in energy, the intentional focus, the nurturing of gratitude, are threads woven into a larger, intricate fabric. It's as if I've been tuning different strings of a grand instrument, each vibrating at its own frequency, yet all harmonizing into a singular symphony of creation. What's become clearer is that this orchestration isn't driven solely by isolated actions or isolated thoughts. It's the language of coherence that guides my inner landscape into a state of resonance. That resonance, in turn, begins to color everything I experience, subtly transforming the texture of my reality. It's almost like I've been stepping into a vast, echoing canyon. The way my voice bounces back isn't random, but a reflection of the depth and clarity of my inner tone. The more I align my feelings, beliefs, and intentions, the fuller the echo becomes, filling the space with the possibility of miracles. This endless feedback loop fosters a deeper understanding that the conditions I seek are not distant or fragmented, but are part of a continuous, living flow that mirrors my energetic coherence. As I linger in this awareness, I start to see opportunities where once only obstacles appeared, as if new pathways materialize out of the mist, paths I could have never envisioned from a mindset rooted in scarcity. Throughout this unfolding awareness, I've come to recognize how the quality of my thoughts acts like a pivotal switch, one that either illuminates possibilities or keeps me entangled in shadows of doubt. My focus becomes more than just a mental exercise. It evolves into a vibrational currency that calibrates the frequency of what flows into my experience. Think of an artist standing before a blank canvas, with each stroke gradually building toward a masterpiece. The choices of hue, texture, and intensity add complexity, transforming a simple outline into a living expression of intention. I realize that every mental choice I make is akin to selecting colors for that canvas, and how those choices blend influences what begins to emerge naturally and effortlessly. In this dance of energy, the idea of trust takes on a new dimension. It's like planting seeds in a fertile field with the unwavering knowing that nourishment and rain will come in their own time. My role shifts from one of exertion to a state of gentle receptivity. Time becomes an ally rather than an adversary, and patience morphs into a silent affirmation that what is meant to unfold never truly leaves my grasp. I begin to observe with an open heart, noticing the subtle signs of alignment, those quickening moments of excitement, the fleeting intuitions that guide my steps forward. These are not coincidences, but signals that I am attuning myself more precisely to my desired flow. As I deepen into this perspective, the boundaries between desire and realization blur until they seem almost indistinguishable. The feeling I carry, the inner melody I choose to hum, becomes a compass that directs my actions and perceptions. The sense of helplessness slowly dissolves as I realize I hold the keys to a more expansive experience. No longer is it about chasing after what I want, but about embodying the energy of already having it, making the feeling of abundance a natural state of being. In doing this, I start to sense a profound shift, an internal recalibration that naturally causes circumstances to rearrange themselves, aligning effortlessly with my higher vibrations. With every layer of understanding I peel back, I feel a new confidence settling within, a knowing that this process is less about forcing outcomes and more about tuning into the rhythm of what's already flowing. It's as if I've been a musician, tuning the strings of my own instrument, learning to listen carefully to the subtle vibrations that guide each note. The more aligned I become, the more I notice how effortlessly prospects appear, how inspired ideas seem to come in waves, and how wealth begins to show up in forms previously overlooked. All these signs confirm that growth isn't a distant goal, but the natural byproduct of a finely calibrated inner state. So, I see now that the journey isn't about mastering some external technique. It's about becoming vividly aware of the symphony playing inside. When I tune my inner environment with intention and authenticity, I tap into a wellspring of creative energy that animates the world around me. Each insight, each moment of clarity, acts as a musical note contributing to a grand composition resonant with abundance, joy, and fulfillment. The more I listen, the more I realize that I've had the power all along, an unending melody waiting to be played in perfect harmony with life's limitless potential. As I sit with this understanding deepening inside, I sense a profound shift happening beneath the surface of daily life. It's as if the layers of doubt, frustration, and worry I once believed were my only reality are gradually dissolving, revealing a deeper truth. I am not a passive bystander in my own story. Instead, I am an active creator, capable of shaping my experience through inner transformation. Every thought I nurture, every emotion I choose to dwell on, acts as a brushstroke that paints the landscape of my days. When I consciously select feelings of abundance and trust, I am in effect sculpting my environment with deliberate intention. What I once viewed as obstacles begin to transform into invitations for growth, beckoning me to see possibility where I previously saw limitation. This realization invites me to shift my perspective from seeking external validation or waiting for circumstances to change on their own. I understand now that each moment is a chance to realign with the energy I desire to attract. By consciously cultivating an attitude of openness and appreciation, I open channels through which opportunities flow freely. It's not simply about wishing. It's about harnessing the power to attune myself to the frequency of what I wish to manifest. In that space of alignment, I start to notice subtle signs appearing with increasing clarity, an unexpected connection, a spark of inspiration, or a coincidental event that feels precisely timed. These aren't coincidences. They're confirmation that my intentions springing from a place of genuine confidence set a powerful ripple in motion. I've come to see how patience isn't a passive virtue, but an active state of trust. The act of surrendering control transforms into a form of empowerment, recognizing that many aspects of growth unfold beyond immediate comprehension. I nurture the understanding that the finest details, the signs I might overlook, all serve as gentle guidance nudging me forward. Every hesitation or doubt becomes an opening to validate my deepest convictions. Are they rooted in faith or lingering fears? Choosing faith over fear becomes a daily practice, a way of honoring the creative energy that flows through me. I start to view each step, whether smooth or challenging, as essential threads woven into a larger masterpiece. That awareness propels me to cherish even the smallest wins, knowing they are building blocks of larger transformations. Those moments of recognition, gratitude, or inspired action are like sparks in the night, igniting a more luminous awareness of my capacity to shape reality. Each time I acknowledge them, my energy shifts into a higher frequency, calling more of what I desire into my experience. The act of noticing abundance in subtle forms creates a fertile ground for abundance to flourish more visibly. With consistency, those seeds of positivity grow stronger, and I begin to see consequences that affirm my new way of being. Doors opening, ideas flowing, opportunities aligning like pieces of an elegant puzzle. Holding on to a sense of trust, enables me to move through periods of seeming stagnation with patience and curiosity. I come to see delays as invitations for refinement, each challenge revealing fresh insights and opportunities to deepen my vibrational alignment. This isn't about forcing circumstances to happen faster, but about adjusting my inner state so when conditions are ripe, I am ready to receive fully. This attitude ignites a feeling of inner confidence rooted in knowing that what's meant for me is already unfolding beneath the surface, waiting for me to tune into the right frequency, to recognize the signs, and to step into inspired action with peace and conviction. Ultimately, understanding these principles shifts my entire approach to life. It's no longer a constant effort to chase after what I want. Instead, it becomes a flowing dance of energetic proficiency, trusting the timing, appreciating the process, and remaining fully present to each moment. I see that the true power lies in this ongoing awareness of my inner landscape, which acts as both the seed and the soil for all manifestations. The more I nurture this inner environment with compassion and certainty, the more life displays its richness back to me. That's the key, knowing that as I cultivate my internal garden thoughtfully, the vibrational conditions for abundance will naturally flourish. Moving forward, I embrace the idea that this dance is perpetual, a continuous unfolding of creative energy that, when attended to with intention and love, transforms every experience into an opportunity for expansion.